Stephen? Where you at? What's her name?
Mackenzie, right behind Jen.
Dr. Mackenzie. I like that when she said, what do you want to call it? Doctor. After all those years, you earned that, right? Your parents are on food stamps, but that's okay. Good to have you guys. All right. The rest of these folks didn't have any family to bring, so we're proud you all are here, and I know your moms are thrilled. That's what it's all about. We'll do anything for moms, right? Whatever she says, yes. The answer is yes, right, Zach? You're here to cook for your mom today and everything, right?
You will.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, get a little break this morning. I don't usually speak at Mother's Day. I learned a long time ago that mothers know more about being a mother than I do or ever will. No, I love my mom, but that's not I feel like they can do a far better job, when you do that every single day. So that's what that's about. And this morning we have a great one here that's going to talk to us and share her thoughts about that. Shelley Ingram. Give her a big hand with you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I've used my teacher voice, so make sure everybody hears me in the back. I'm just sharing some thoughts today, and thank you, John, for asking me to speak. And if you could put a title on this, you might say, No Mother is Perfect, or God Uses Imperfect Mothers. So good morning and happy Mother's Day to all the moms, grandmothers, stepmoms, aunts, and any woman who took on the role of a mother in another person's life, whether it's a foster parent or whatever. Today I want to talk about the lineage of Jesus. In Matthew chapter 1, I'm not going to read there, but there are 5 women that are listed by name in Jesus' family tree. This is a rare occurrence in ancient Jewish genealogies. As far as I know, this is the only mention of all of these women in Jesus' lineage. I want to share some thoughts on 2 of these women, Rahab and Ruth. Before I start, let me share this poem called A Mother's Love by Helen Steiner Rice. A mother's love. A mother's love is something that no one can explain. It is made of deep devotion and of sacrifice and pain. It is endless and unselfish and enduring come what may. For nothing can destroy it or take that love away. It is patient and forgiving when all others are forsaking, and it never fails or falters, even though the heart is breaking. It believes beyond believing when the world around condemns, and it glows with all the beauty of the rarest, brightest gems. It is far beyond defining. It defies all explanation, and it still remains a secret, like the mysteries of creation. A many-splendored miracle man cannot understand, and another wondrous evidence of God's tender guiding hand. This poem paints a loving and sweet picture of a mother. I know that not everyone experienced this same love from their mother like I did, or Don, my husband, did. In all my years in education, I interacted with so many students from unique backgrounds. As a teacher, I knew that students needed to have their basic needs met in order to learn. Are they hungry? Do they have sufficient clothing? Do they have their social emotional needs met? Some kids just wanted a hug, and some you just knew had been scarred by parents or people at home. One student I talked just a little bit about, and we'll call him Charlie. I think I had him maybe my 3rd year of teaching. and I taught second and third grade. Charlie was a sweet little boy. He had a head full of blonde curls and blue eyes. He missed a lot of school. He had an older brother in 6th grade, and if older brother didn't wake up in time, they didn't get to school in time. And I was able to meet Mother one time, and I realized it was not a good home life. She had all the outside appearances of a drug abuser. So I knew it was a sad situation. A couple weeks later, Charlie came into school one day and he said, "Miss Engler, I'm going to be moving." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I took that at face value, and later I went and talked to the guidance counselor, and she said yes, he was going to be moving. Some grandparents from Texas were going to come and pick up the boys and take custody of them. So about a week later, the time had come, and someone was able to watch my class and was able to walk Charlie up as he and his brother were leaving. And we waved goodbye. We were happy and sad at the same time, because we knew the other teachers were there. We were all just boo-hooing. We knew that he was going to be taken care of. He was going to be loved. He was going to have a place to sleep, and his needs were going to be met. So you get connected with students, but that story has stuck with me for over 20 years. Let me move on. If you want to turn your Bibles to Joshua chapter 1, I want to share some words of encouragement. Joshua chapter 1. And as I was preparing, I was reading in this section first, and I'm going to go off topic just a minute, but I felt these verses were very powerful. This was a time in the Israelite history that Joshua had taken Moses' role as the leader. Moses had just died, and in chapter 1, God tells him 3 times to be strong and courageous. Joshua chapter 1, verses 6 through 9. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their forefathers to give them. Be strong, second time, and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Do not let this book of the law depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Number 3. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So if you have any time, these words, they really jumped off the page to me. So if you need some encouragement, make a note in your Bible to come back to these words and read those words of encouragement. Okay, now back to Rahab. Now, if you'll remember, a couple of weeks ago, John spoke about Rahab. So I told him, I said, you took some of my stuff. So anyway, remember he talked about Rahab and the terrible, sinful, evil culture that she grew up in. But even then, God was able to use her. So I'm going to read chapter 2, Joshua chapter 2, verses 1 through 7. Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. The king of Jericho was told, look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land. So the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab: "Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land." But the woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them. She said, "Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, the men left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them." But she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. So the men set out in pursuit of the spies on the road that leads to the fords of the Jordan. And as soon as the pursuers had gone out, the gate was shut. So Rahab had the choice to tell the truth or lie to protect the spies. In either way, she and her family could have been in danger. So even back then, stories got around, even before newspapers and social media, stories got around about all that God was doing, all the miracles that had happened, and Rahab and her family had heard the stories of the Red Sea parting and other miracles, and they were scared. Let me jump down to Joshua 2, verses 11 through 13, and here Rahab's talking to the spies. "When we heard of it," about hearing all of the news that God had done, "our hearts melted and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on earth below. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I have shown kindness to you. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death." So Rahab and the spies agreed on a deal, and she told the spies to hide in the hills for 3 days so the soldiers would not find them. And Rahab hung a scarlet cord in a window, which was the sign to be spared when Israel conquered Jericho. It happened as planned, and Rahab and her family were saved during the complete defeat of Jericho by Joshua's army. Later, Rahab married Salmon, a Jew, whom tradition says was one of the spies she hid. They had a son, Boaz, who grew up to become a righteous and godly man. The story of Rahab reminds us that faith in God is more important than our past. No matter where you've been or what you've done, God can use you for his glory. So just as Rahab was an outsider to Israel, so was Ruth. She was a Moabite, which meant she was identified with a nation of people who did not follow or worship God. Ruth's story is found in the book of Ruth, and it's a beautiful example of loyalty and love. And Ruth is after Judges in the Old Testament. So if you're in Joshua, the next book is Judges, and the next one is Ruth. So if you want to turn there, Ruth chapter 1. So Naomi and her husband Elimelech had 2 sons who married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. We don't know how, but Elimelech and his 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, died, leaving the 3 women with nothing. Naomi was pretty smart, and because Elimelech owned property, she would inherit that land back in Judah. She could get some food, so she prepared to return home. Ruth chapter 1, verses 8 through 10. Then Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show kindness to you as you have shown to your dead and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud. And she said to her, "We will go back with you to your people." So Naomi pleaded with her daughters-in-law to go back and find other husbands, as was the custom. Orpah finally decided that she would go, but Ruth clung to Naomi. So I'll jump down to Ruth 1, 16 through 18. But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me." When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. In this example, we see in the life of Ruth what Jesus calls us to do. Leave everything and follow him. Ruth further showed her love for Naomi by going out to work in the fields to collect and thresh grain. As a childless widow, Naomi had no means to support herself, so Ruth's work was a great blessing. In Ruth chapter 2, Ruth meets Boaz. Now remember, this is Rahab's son. So as Ruth was picking up grain behind the harvesters, Naomi realized that Boaz was a kinsman redeemer, which meant he was a relative, and Naomi worked to get them together. A kinsman redeemer is a male relative who has the responsibility to help a relative in need or danger. In the instance of Ruth, because she had lost her husband, she had to work for essentially scraps. Women in the ancient world had a difficult time finding enough employment to feed themselves, let alone their other relatives. Boaz, seeing this need and his duty as her kinsman redeemer, proposes and marries Ruth. Boaz and Ruth have a son, Obed, who was the father of Jesse and a grandfather to David, and therefore continue the lineage of Jesus. To conclude, the women listed in Matthew 1 are not what we would expect to be in the family tree of the King of Kings. All of them were involved in some kind of controversy because of their circumstances or backgrounds. Yet, in choosing outcasts and outsiders like you and me, God shows that he can use anyone, any mother, to accomplish his will. As the angel told Mary in Luke 1:37, nothing is impossible with God. And I thank you.